Hey, here it comes. Another exciting hour of fabulous prizes. The fabulous 60 minutes of The Price is Right. No, not really. But, you know, I'm probably like most people watching didn't even get that reference because I'm kind of old and I used to skip a lot of school back. The Price is Right when it was on TV. But anyway, this is not The Price is Right. This is the mainstream. The mainstream. Okay, and today we have, well, of course we have Theo with us, right, Theo?
Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here once again. Another Tuesday, another mainstream.
All right. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And today we actually have some, you know, I kind of say this every week. It's like, well, you know, today we have some really exciting guests. But really, today we have some really exciting guests. Right. So we got Saurin and Tudor from, where are you guys from?
Blazer Labs.
All right.
Nobody knows this yet.
Well, why don't you introduce yourself so everybody knows. Everybody will know from now on.
All right. So good morning to you and good evening, Dan. I guess you're on the other side of the world.
I am.
It's an international podcast. Canada, West Europe, East Europe, Asia.
Canada. It's Canada. That's how you pronounce it, Canada.
Yeah, I'm in Canada, not in Canada, per Dan's books.
Yeah, well, I guess some of the people watching already know me from probably 3 years ago when I started in Cardano. I started with the whiteboard video and all the guys who were active then on YouTube, including you, Dan. Thanks for those 2 hours interviews you were keeping me hooked on.
3 hours.
Sure.
I didn't want
to. There was like almost 3 hours. Yeah. That's don't mess it up now. There was like 2 hours and 47 minutes, which I had no idea was that long. And I looked at him like, holy schmoly. It's a long interview, but yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah,
I enjoyed them in full. Don't worry, it was very good, educational. So yeah, I've started in Cardano more than 3 years ago, and 2.5 years ago, I founded Proxies NFT, which is a NFT project going on until now, still doing stuff, and I'll probably make a little alpha announcement later on about the next stuff that we'll be doing, because it's very much related to the mainstream, right? Oh, do I have to drink a shot now?
You know the game. Perfect. I love it.
Yeah. Okay, I'll say it like 7 times today, so when we meet, we have something to work with.
And you're at the right time zone as well. You're at the right.
Yeah, well, it was a couple of years of experimentation in NFTs, tokens, staking, liquidity, all of this stuff that degens know and everyone who's trying to trade knows. But it always felt like we need some more value. And starting last summer, my mind was racing for months already. Where do we go? Where should we go to actually bring some impact and to bring some value to the blockchain, most of all? And here we came with the idea of tokenized wines. And you know, if you keep the wine correctly, then like in the best temperature and light and so on, it grows in value every year. So it's like that was the thread that I kept pulling from last summer until now. And we're going to talk more about this as going into development from from NFTs into development is a very kind of interesting journey, and there's a lot of stuff to learn. But we are here now.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, I was. I mean, we had some conversations before, but I'm actually maybe some know about this about me, but I am. I'm kind of a wine person. In fact, back there, over there, you can kind of see it. So, like, if you can see that little wood box, that's actually a bottle of Georgian wine. And so on the other side, I have several Georgian wines. And apparently, so that bottle right there is supposed to be the best Georgian wine in Georgia out of Georgian wines.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah. And so some of you might remember that I actually went down to Georgia back in 2018, the country, not the state. It's not Georgia, it's Georgia. That's the one that I went to, which is obviously a really big wine country. Some even say that that's where wine was invented. That's what they say in Georgia.
Dan, I want you to keep that story for a little later, because I want to tie it in with what the guys are doing. So please don't spill it, because I've been saving this for a while.
So long story short, I'm very interested in what you guys have to say about wine, because I have a like a personal connection to it, and also a longstanding kind of a Cardano business connection to it. So it's very exciting to be able to kind of converse about it. Okay, so listen, let's get into it a little bit. Theo, you wanna get into it a little bit?
I just want Saurin to do a small intro as well, because I don't want him to
right,
just
of course.
have him there hanging.
I'm a terrible host. Sorry, Saurin. Please do an intro.
No worries.
Please do an intro.
So I'm a software guy, been into software for forever. Lately became a crypto enthusiast, and I've been hiding in the shadows, although I have been sitting next to Tudor since the very inception of proxies, and now lately with the RWA initiatives, we have partnered up into what we call now Blazer Labs, which again, as Tudor mentioned, it isn't yet official, but very soon it will be. So yeah, that's me in short.
I just want to say that I love.
That was a little too short. I'd like to hear more as we kind of get into things.
Yeah, sure.
We're gonna interrogate him for sure. I just want to say that I love the name Blazer Labs. It sounds like it sounds like you guys know what you're doing.
Yeah,
well, first step is taken.
yeah. It could be trailblazing. It could also be a blazer that you wear. I like both. Both. So both are good.
A blazer gun as well.
Sure. Chevy Blazer. There was a Chevy Blazer. There still is. Yeah. Anyway, great. Yeah, great name. So listen, let's kind of. Okay, so. Let's start with proxies NFTs. So kind of give us a little bit more of a fatty or skinny on proxies.
Okay, I'm gonna try to make it skinny, although it might end up not
it could be like it could be like America skinny, not like Japan skinny. Okay, just do your thing.
Yeah, so when we started Proxies, we were a team of friends that I brought together, artists, marketing people, and researchers. We were quite a big team from the very get-go. And I was leading the team, and I was leading like the concept, the narrative, and so on. And all of that kind of information that I was putting into the project was coming practically from what I've learned about Cardano in the last 9 months before I started then. And a lot of it was coming from Charles's videos, because I was watching pretty much everything, learning like terminology, learning what is Cardano doing, and so on. So we ended up with a very wide concept. We chose 5, then 6 characters, and they're all beautiful ladies facing the camera with a very detailed traits, face, and everything. And each of the ladies has a mission. One is for trading. The one that you see on the screen now is the tech proxy, Siberiada, whose way we're kind of leading now into the light. And there's the art proxy, there's the mental and the mental health proxy, and the ecology proxy. And the lore stands like this. So there were the proxy worms, like eggs. The proxies came out, and they had started the journey in the Cardano land. They had a big important meeting, and they called out a spirit, which is wisdom, which is the 6th character. And with wisdom, we started exploring different universes. We even went to BTC ordinals at that time. That's pretty much when we started interacting with code that was specifically made for us. And this, oh yeah, thank you very much. The first one on the left is wisdom, and it's our, let's say, the main, the smartest character in them all. So the community stood behind each of these proxies missions, and for a long time we had activities like weekly Twitter Spaces with Destiny, the 5th here, and those were mental health spaces done by specialists for a year. It was a long journey. So a lot of activities have been done on ecology and art. We launched other artists and so on. But you know how it is. Every NFT project, they either are really good at marketing, hyping everyone up in the spaces, yelling to 1 million, or it starts fading down. And our community in the bear market became smaller and smaller until we were left with only our core community of 30-40 people active. Well, it's 700 holders, but you know, active and holders is very different. And we pretty much were getting to a place where we needed to make a change, and that's another topic of discussion. That's in short about proxies. It's about the very detailed art and the missions of each of these characters.
Yeah, this is I really like the art. Actually, I'm kind of a fan of that style, and we actually have our friend Benjamin who picked up a few wisdom on the Ergo side. So you are, you made it. If you're on Ergo, you made it.
So we first went cross-chain to Ergo. This was very interesting. Actually, that was the start of the journey when we had coders work for us directly to get this done, and we minted, I think, 53 or something like that. It was a very quick activity. It's a no-brainer for everyone to support us. We were doing the Cardano Ergo Twitter Spaces, Cardano Handshake Ergo. It was like 10 Twitter Spaces. That was amazing. How much I learned about UTXO, what Ergo is doing. So it's nice to meet.
You should start those again. I've been meaning to say this as soon as we started touching the topic around proxies NFT, and obviously, you know, we're gonna talk about more mainstream stuff in a bit. But just because I really wanted to mention the fact that those Twitter Spaces that you were doing between Cardano and Ergo were amazing. I really enjoyed them. I tried to join as many as I could. I really think these are some kind of Twitter Spaces that we're missing in the community, and the fact that, you know, we used to see both communities come together in a very nice, you know, under a very nice umbrella and topics of discussion. I think that it was a fresh of how do you call it, a breath of fresh air. within the community, and the conversations were really constructive and very good. I really enjoyed it. I actually miss it. I just wanted to mention that because when I started talking with Tudor, it was back in before Fan 11, if I can recall correctly, and we were just talking about our proposals and whatnot, and as soon as I saw proxies, I'm like, oh, the guys from the spaces, so like right away I had something in my head that I was like, okay, these guys are amazing, let's talk. So I think maybe think about doing something related, or a bit different, again. Like, I know obviously the time is not it's not unlimited, so if you guys have the chance, I would like to see those spaces come back to life. They were amazing.
Yeah, we can make a deal if somebody from Ergo would be my constant co-host. That's not a big problem at all to do that.
Oh, we can find you a co-host.
I was gonna say you have the good man over here.
I think he'd love it. I think the first letter of his name is Q and the last is X, and he should be watching this right now, because if he's not, I'm going to give him a lot of grief, lots and lots of grief.
I think we had a couple of spaces together with him. He's very good.
He's everywhere. He's like, he's like somebody who's everywhere. But anyway, well, thank you. Yeah, so I did an interview with Big Pay. So this is.
Let me read it. Hello, Dan. I saw your interview with Pay yesterday. Very interesting conversation, and I feel like I totally understand what you're trying to do. I should say will do. You painted a great picture. It was a very good interview.
Yeah, thank you. It was actually, myself and Peyton, we kind of, we have a, we have a good understanding of kind of what what the space needs. I think, not just an understanding of what the space needs, but kind of a connection. We both get it, and we're kind of both in the same wavelength. So I really like doing interviews with him, and and also at the last Rare Evo, my dad, he came with us. You remember that, Theo?
He's probably watching us right now.
Yeah. And he had actually a really long conversation with Peyton about all these different things, because my father worked in IT for probably like 40 plus years, and ever since he started back in the Soviet Union. So he started back in the 70s in the Soviet Union after he left the Air Force, and continued on until I think like 2009 or 10, something like that. Like really right before I left for Japan. He literally retired maybe like a couple of years before I left for Japan. And so he's got this like wealth of knowledge about IT and about data systems and about all these different things. And, his whole basically was kind of saying the same thing that actually a lot of people are saying. It's, the things that we think that we're kind of, oh my God, we're discovering are actually not that new. It's just different. Some things already been thought about, but the technology wasn't there, or it was done a different way. Things like distributed systems, all these different things, they have been around before. So just they had the conversation in a good connection. So yeah, but getting back to what we were talking about with Pay was, the industry really, and I keep hammering this probably at some point in every single one of these episodes, but the industry really needs to stop the bullshit. We really need to start making more like real world use cases, something that in the real world needs blockchain, not the other way around, not building solutions and looking for problems to solve with them. We have a problem and blockchain can solve it. Okay. And so on one hand, we have these problems in the industry where we have solutions searching around for a problem to solve. That's not how you do things. They're just not. That doesn't happen in the real world. It's not demand supply and demand. So it's and anyway, from the other side, it's this kind of like camp of, well, if it's not degen, if it's not, it doesn't make green bars and numbers go up, then we're not going to touch it, and it's like, how many new DeFi platforms and tokens that don't do anything do we really need? And so we got these two camps, and really the problem is that there's not enough projects that are saying, okay, you know what, we are going to take this tech and we're going to do something with it that it's supposed to be used for, right? That's what we've been selling to the public, to the mainstream audience, and we just haven't touched enough of this. And this is actually why I'm really excited to be talking to people like you guys, is because you do have a real solution to a problem that exists. And so I just kind of want you to tell us a little bit about, well, first of all, without really kind of I want you to explain what you're doing. So just give us some information about the Eastern European Cardano Hub, and what you're building with the Eastern European Cardano Hub.
And then I think we can tie everything in with the wine and everything else.
Yeah, it's gonna be really well tied. It was like I took like a giant lap across the swimming pool, but it's gonna be a complete lap. So don't worry about it. Okay, so please let us know what is up.
Yeah. So I guess the hub was one of our ideas that we tried to push forward as part of the previous Catalyst funding round. Unfortunately, it didn't get funded, but we still decided to move ahead with it. So that's kind of the inception of what we now call Blazer Labs. At the same time, so the hub is one dimension that we are chasing and continuing to develop. Basically, what we noticed was in this part of the world, in Eastern Europe, there is very little awareness about blockchain technology in general, about the Cardano ecosystem. So our ambition and the vision behind the Cardano Hub was to actually build up a center where we could actually popularize and spread awareness around blockchain technology, dispel the myths around blockchain in general, because we faced the situation where most of the people we were interacting with were perceiving blockchain as cryptocurrency, as Ponzi schemes. So beside that, there was little to no clarity around what use cases, what real problems could be addressed through this technology, and so on and so forth. So this was one angle to it. The other angle was so both me and Tudor coming from Moldova. Moldova is slowly emerging as a tech/development hub in the region. So there is a lot of talent that is growing, and they are using a lot of the technologies out there on the market. At the same time, there is very little talent that is focusing on actual blockchain development. And our view is that there is quite a lot of need of talent in the space. So basically, it came out naturally as a thing that could bridge the supply and demand. So the talent and the need for that talent in the blockchain space. So that's basically the whole idea behind the Cardano Hub. We are actually planning on pushing forward with this idea. We've got in touch with a couple of other folks from around the world, and we shall probably go for another round as part of the broader Cardano Centers family. So we are slowly building up from that foundation that we had in mind, and trying to take it to the next level, if that makes sense. So that's in short the idea with the Cardano Hub. And obviously, since we were talking about real world utilities, one of the key ideas that we started to chase was tokenizing wines, so creating a supply chain tracking system, blockchain enabled supply chain tracking system for wines. Again, it came out quite naturally, since Moldova is a wine country. Up until a couple of years ago, the wine industry was number one in terms of contribution to GDP. So there is a very long wine heritage, wine tradition in Moldova, and it made all the sense to look at this industry and to see how we could bring additional value, both to the winemaking companies, which are quite a lot in Moldova, and at the same time to the end users, to the consumers, who would definitely benefit from having access to really good authentic wine, and would have the trust that it indeed satisfies the quality parameters and so on. So yeah, that's what we've been doing over the last couple of months. I'm proud to say that we are close to completing the final milestones for the current project. So we have successfully implemented a proof of concept consisting of pretty much all the building blocks that are required to have this supply chain tracking system. It includes indexing vineyards, so indexing terroirs, capturing data associated with all the phases of the wine producing process. It includes tokenization of batches of wine and having the ability to track those over the blockchain. So we seem to be well on track with the plans. And looking a little bit into the future, we are already planning the next steps. So we are planning to move to an MVP phase, where we would assemble all these things into an end-to-end solution that would enable us to start exposing it to the broader world, and eventually to push for mass adoption of the solution. In this sense, we have also started some discussions with the local wine agency in Moldova. We've been conducting I think it's over 50 discussions with different wineries, trying to understand their requirements, their necessities in terms of real life problems, and what could be addressed in terms of streamlining and helping them in their day-to-day life. So we've captured all these details, and these will obviously be embedded in what we are planning for the next phases.
That's actually very, very interesting, and I really like the fact that, you know, we started by talking about the NFT, you know, Proxys NFT, and, you know, we kind of like touched on the technology side of things, right? What's really happening, or what's the technology that we're using for tokenization, for example. Obviously, it was a lot different, the Proxys NFT, and what we do with the tokenization, what you guys do with tokenization, but the underlying technology is there. And then we touched on the Eastern European Cardano Hub, which is actually very, very interesting to me personally, because I'm born and raised in Greece. And obviously, you know, I've myself, you know, a couple years back, I used to be a Cardano ambassador into the Greek community, focused over there and trying to build, you know, more awareness into the Greek community about Cardano and whatnot. So that's actually very, very good what you guys are doing, and I would definitely tell you to just keep doing that, because there's so many good things that you can get out of just conversations with different people, you know, either from the same country or from the same quote unquote region, if you will, like the broader region. And there's many other European Cardano groups, either the the big, like the European Cardano group, and there's also smaller ones as well, such as the Greek, the Eastern European. I know there's a big community in England, for example, and this is really, really amazing what you guys are doing, and I would definitely suggest you to just keep doing that, because this community, the more it grows, you will find that you can work with more people, and I'm pretty sure this is one of the reasons and things that you've already done and see. But I want to get into the juicy stuff now. We kind of touched on the tokenizing around wine and whatnot, so I think it would be very, very good to have Dan maybe give us give us his story now, around what happened in the past and how it happened, because tokenizing wine is something that we've seen before. Obviously, we saw that from the founding entities. Now we see that on a way different level, different region, obviously, different wine, and different people, right? So I just would like to start with maybe talking about the history of wine tokenization on the Cardano ecosystem, and then we can take it back to you, Tudor and Saurin, so you can give us a little more information now, in-depth information about Blazer Labs and the tokenization of wine. So Dan.
Yeah. Well, actually, you know what? I think that the solution that Blazer and Saurin are Blazer and Saurin. You got me screwed up, Blazer and Saurin and Tudor and then just Blazer. Yeah. That's the ticket. Saurin and Tudor. That's what I meant to say before Theo used his telepathy to screw me up. Is actually the solution that they have is different than other tokenization solutions that were out there. It's a different. The use case is different. The solution is different. And I think it's actually a really cool solution. I'd like for you to kind of dive into that a little more in just a bit. But essentially, I think one of the issues with that whole region, right? So just like with Georgia, Moldova, I'm pretty sure has the same issue. And it's actually the same issue that Palmyra solves for commodities, and that is an issue with access to world markets and access to information, to basically have a robust information flow that would be passed on to the consumer to see that the products that they're getting are actually superior products. So, for example, in Georgia, the issue, well, if you want to call it that, one of the issues they were facing is that was the low price of Georgian wine compared to, say, French wine. And the reason for that was basically it was marketing. It was marketing and access, right? So France has been established in Western Europe for decades, for hundreds of years, right? So there's people say, oh, French wine. Oh, yeah, French wine. Doesn't matter that Georgia has actually same level, if not better wine than France. It doesn't matter that Moldova has the same or better level of wine. It's just France, you think of wine, right? France, you think of cheese, you think of wine, you think of the Peugeot. It's branding, right? And in today's world, there is a way. So the solution that part of the solution that really blockchain brings is a way to leapfrog out of that kind of bubble, right? And that is with information availability. And this is what this solution is, and this is what our solution is basically information availability and access availability. And so in Georgia, the issue was, like I said, it was just not known. I mean, look, some of us are from, I don't know how old you guys are, but I grew up in the Soviet times, and I grew up in the Soviet Union thing. So, it was kind of like its own microcosmos of the world. Here's the Soviet world, and and outside is the evil capitalists. And so within the Soviet world, Georgian wine was always like that. That's where you go, right? It was mostly because Stalin made it really, really famous as well, because he was really into Georgian wine because he was Georgian. But overall, Georgian wine has always been held kind of like that's it, right? So was wine from Moldova. That was considered, that was considered the stuff that you want to get. But once the borders kind of fell, right, the Soviet Union went away and they got wider access, it was difficult because there was already too much established in the West with the French, with the Italians, that, okay, yeah, now I can actually export my wine to the West, but they don't really know it, except for the same guys like me that moved to the West that were looking for Georgian wines because we're kind of like searching for, nostalgia from the old country. And so that is also a problem with access, and that is a problem with information. And so beyond that, even though these markets became in a way more open, they were still suffering from gatekeeping, like actually a lot of developing markets are, right? So, and gatekeeping they're allowed to produce whatever wine you want to produce, right? You can produce the wine, but if you want to sell it, there's like 2 guys you can sell it to, right? And everybody comes around and everybody just kind of like, either scoops up all your wine or scoops up all your grapes and processes them in their factories, and then sells it overseas and gives you like pennies on the dollar for what it's worth. And then again, that's the same problem that our producers were facing in Sri Lanka, for example, with tea, because there was a lot of this gatekeeping aggregation. And so solutions like what Saurin and Tudor are providing actually, I believe, is a way to break through that, because blockchain is decentralized, blockchain is international, blockchain is not, it's not nationally siloed, right? It might be ecosystem siloed in some ways, like echo chambers and whatever, but those echo chambers still are international echo chambers, even if they are an echo chamber, right? So with that said, I'm pretty sure that the issues that Moldavian wine suffers from are very similar. So the first thing I wanted to do is for you to kind of give us an understanding of the landscape of what the Moldavian wine landscape looks like right now. That's number one. And number two, actually, I was, and you described this to me on a call a little while ago about your solution, and it was a very intriguing solution. Kind of, if you could give the audience kind of the same breakdown, right? So, what is the process? What is the solution, and how does it help bring that access and that exposure, international exposure, to this, amazing wine that Moldavia has?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're both from Moldova, and of course we're starting everything, our platform, our tokenization, everything, we're starting from Moldova, just to later on expand and offer these tools and platforms globally. But yeah, we're starting from Moldova, and Moldova is dealing with the problem of being unknown as a wine region, as a place that has wine and so on.
Although my apologies, I keep calling it Moldavia. I keep calling it the Russian way, Moldova. That's what I should say.
Right.
It's Moldova. In Russian, it's Moldavia, but in it's actually supposed to be Moldova. So yes, my apologies for that.
It's going to take a couple of tens of years to take that name from the Russians and give it to the world in the correct way.
In Greek, it's actually the same, just to be fair. In the Greek, it's Moldavia or Moldavia, to be more.
but I think that's actually Soviet influence. In Japanese, Georgia is Gruzia.
Mm-hmm. Which is more correct, right? Gruzia.
Which is like what that. It is in Russian. It's Gruzia in Russian. So anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Tudor. Please go on. This is very good stuff.
That's right.
Interesting stuff.
So Moldova is unknown, although the 2 biggest wine sellers in the world are in Moldova. The most acres of vineyards per capita are in Moldova. The most grapes harvested every year per capita is in Moldova. These are important things to kind of let the world know that we are very much a wine country. Although we're very small, we have hundreds of wineries. And all of these wineries in the past, as you said, they've been exporting to the ex-USSR. And that was just absolutely normal for 99% of exports to go there. Everyone was used to it. Then the 2004 came, then 2011, we had embargoes. We're such a small country, but I don't know, that do we matter so much to embargo our stuff?
You did not obey. You did not obey the large building with the star.
Yeah,
anyway, we're not going to get into politics.
Despite being small, I think we were in the top 10 countries by volume of producing wine somewhere in 2015, 2010. So
yeah,
the volumes are quite significant.
A way to start bringing Moldovan wine out is talking to logistical companies that have relationships with spirit stores and so on. But then we are coming with some very good wine, but there's so much very good wine everywhere. It's in Georgia, in Spain, in Argentina. Everyone's making better wine than before. And what do we come with? So there's this tokenization thing, if you've heard of it, where you take a batch or every bottle, you create tokens for it, and then it can freely be traded, exchanged on the blockchain. So that was a very interesting thing to bring to a few of my friends who have wineries, and we started thinking like, okay, we tokenize this. What do we add extra information, like for people to know where this wine is coming from, how it was made, is the soil irrigated or not, and so on. So we came up with around 70 questions. I know this is a lot, but these 70 questions are being answered by the winery and added to supply chain tracking of each batch of wine. Now, when coming with this, with an extra transparency, with that QR code on the bottle, now you're bringing a more special product that they haven't seen yet. Still, there's a lot of work to popularize, but at least you have the first ace in your sleeve. Then there's another thing I want to mention is buying wine en premiere. And this is either for retailers, those who will resell this wine later on, or for investors. It means that before the wine is made or before it is kind of released, you can buy a quantity of wine en premiere, and when it's ready for you, you can ask for it to be shipped or sell it. It's a very nice thing for us in the cryptocurrency world, because we're used to trading, and it's never been easier to trade a bottle of wine. You might not even need to touch it, or that's the idea. You don't need to touch it, because when you're buying it, you know, it's got storage paid upfront for 5 years. You sell it to somebody else, he doesn't need to touch it. He can order it to bring it home, but he can further trade it. And as long as it stays in the right location with the right temperature and light and vibration and so on, the wine is going to mature. It's going to become better and better. So all of this together kind of builds a case for us to try and create tokenization, good tokenization with the possibility of updates, and actually bring the state into it. Because the state, if it was a bigger state like USA, we would never pretty much get there. It would be the community saying like, we need these tools for like 20 years, and then it would be done. But in Moldova, we can try and show the way, and pretty much everyone in the government, or should I say like 65% of the people in the government are my age and Saurin's age. because it's the new generation. So we're practically talking to our schoolmates, our university mates, and it's easier to be heard. So yeah, it's very, very promising. And we spoke to about 50 wineries until now, to kind of offer their platform to make QR codes for European Union regulations requirements for labels, for wine labels. And they're like, oh, okay, I didn't have this. I knew I had to do it. And here it is. They're starting to use our platform even before we have fully opened it.
That's actually very, very interesting, and I'm so happy to hear that. What I wanted to ask you, and that's a classic question that we get asked all the time. So I'm so happy that I get to ask it now to somebody else. When you go and you talk to those, to the wineries, you already mentioned you had more than 50 conversations, and obviously you're working with quite a few of them already. What is their perception? What do they tell you, and what is it that you go and tell them? Do you mention blockchain and NFTs? Do you mention tokenization? What is the way that you approach them, and then what is their reaction to it as well?
Yeah, so in order not to scare them off, I'm not telling them anything about blockchain in the very beginning. I'm trying to find what they need, what our platform can offer, like these EU labels, QR codes. That was a very easy entry, and the new regulation just came out in December last year, so it's been just a few months. Everyone kind of needs it. Maybe they already found someone, but we're doing it cheaper for Moldova, so we're gaining a few clients every week. But yeah, when I convince them, or when they become convinced that they need to use our platform, then I give them some surprises for extra security, for extra trustlessness. We are using this blockchain tokenization of batches to kind of follow that on the chain. And when you do edits to it, or you add an API that is showing the temperature in the cellar, these get updated, and people on the blockchain can see the older updates, how the wine was kept before, and so on. And this starts a very high level of dealing with wine, a very expensive kind of way. So what I'm my dream is to show Moldova as a place that deals with wine on another level. Hopefully this will work. It's not going to be just me working on that. It's really the wine agency, or the small wineries agencies. They are very keen to get some help from outside. And I've been in London for quite a while. When I tell them that, it does matter as well. And with all the experience where we see around, especially Zengate, how you are dealing with stuff, I think it's going to become easier and easier to onboard industry actors onto the blockchain and tokenization stuff.
Yeah, just
we have a nice question here that kind of has to. Well, I mean, it's a question for me, but I think it also is relevant with what you were saying. From Tommy Vesper says, Dan, I've seen you mention the suppliers. Can we put that up on the screen for us? Thank you. So you mentioned the suppliers will be abstracted from the crypto side of things. Will this be in all cases? And if not, maybe you interview a supplier and discuss how Palm can help, how Palm has helped them. So we actually did. We did have. Well, we had one of our buyers on one of these episodes here, who we spoke to about their experience, but really, I think, and this is what we plan to do, and this is what I think Tudor and Saurin are also doing is abstraction in this case, in the case of, when you're bringing solutions to, the general public like this, abstraction is the best way, because look, they don't need to know what's under the hood. I keep saying this and I will say it over and over and over again. And I'm sure you guys agree with this. They don't need to know what's under the hood. All they need to know is that it works, and that it works better than what they have right now. And it makes their lives easier. It makes their jobs easier. It makes them more money. And that is the whole point. It's not the point to educate them on how to use crypto wallets and, how blocks are produced. This is not something the average person should know. I just, I know that some people are really upset about this, but people just don't give a crap about this stuff. What they care about is what I just said. And that's why I really, really like what you said about the way you approach it, is you approach it through abstraction, because we approach it through abstraction, and we will continue approaching it through abstraction. Now, to answer the second part of Tommy's question, will that be in all cases? Not necessarily, but if it's not a case of just complete abstraction, it will be by choice, right? So there is a way to have modular. We've created our system in a modular way, and I'm sure that you guys have created your system in a similar way, because from what I hear. And so if they want to have a more Web3 experience, there is a way to do that, right? But you don't have to be able to utilize the full power of the system. So it's kind of like a preference, right? Do you like manual transmission? Do you like an automatic transmission? We'll get you from point A to point B, right? But it's all about the experience, right? So I wouldn't say it would be the same. And again, this is something that I would also like to ask you guys. And then we should actually, Theo, let's maybe get one of our suppliers, one of our producers on a mainstream at some point, and just
it's already on the schedule.
It's already on the schedule. We already have a producer on the schedule, so yes, it is coming. But to get back to the second part of the question, and this is actually this is something that I wanted to ask you: will your customer base always be abstracted from the blockchain part? As in, I mean, you can still keep them abstracted, even though you tell them, yeah, it's on a blockchain, but it's still like abstracted from having to deal with blockchain Web3 stuff. Or do you plan to have some sort of a way for them to actually have a Web3 experience? What are your plans?
So again, right now, what we are doing is tokenizing batches and managing the overall supply chain. But the ambition is to get to the point where we can actually tokenize individual bottles of wine. So by doing that, that could open up completely new channels of selling for the wineries, for them to sell those bottles of wine and Premier, as Tudor mentioned. So probably we'll land somewhere in between. Some companies which are more innovative, which are looking to reimagine a little bit their place in the broader economy, they will embrace new technologies to a fuller extent, while some of the others will just use the technology without even knowing that they are using it, if that makes sense. Similarly with digital storages. So some of them might not employ these digital storages. Some others might actually implement them to the fullest and embrace the technologies, because again, ultimately, both the consumers and the wineries are on the winning side from every technology that is being embraced by the company. So yeah, I think it will vary from case to case. There isn't any golden bullet to this.
At the same time, we're talking about tokenizing each bottle, but until you actually do it and really test it with the community and so on, you can't really know exactly how this is going to happen. And I want to put in a plug here, because we're not only kind of participating in Catalyst to sort out some real world utility for Cardano with our Hydra wallet, with our supply chain tracking, with our baby carrier ID, like we did for children, the medical records. But we're also doing something to actually test everything related to the supply chain tracking of wine and tokenizing of wine. Inside proxies, we will be showing some news soon. But what we are going to do is choose a very, very good wine with lab tests and sommelier and master of wine tests in order to make sure we're choosing something that can be matured for longer than the usual 7 to 10 years for red wines. Hopefully to find something that can be matured for 20, 30 years, keep it in the right storage, offer people these tokens, where each token will mean a bottle of wine with prepaid storage, and actually let them trade them on a platform that we're going to build. It's going to be something much smaller than Zengate, but it's going to be directed towards tokenization and trading of spirits and wines. That was the plug. Thank you.
Well, listen, it's definitely something that I'm really looking forward to. Actually, you were talking about storage and just reminded me of this kind of disappointing experience I had with a bottle of Georgian wine. So actually, I got these 2 bottles of Georgian wine from a really good chateau in Kaheti, which is one of the for those who don't know, it's the mountainous region of Georgia, and there's quite a few wineries over there. And so the wine itself was really good. When I bought it, was it 2013? I was there in 2018, so it was about 5 years old. And at that point, 23. Anyway, it was 5-6 years old at that point. So it was good, right? And so I really liked, and I bought 2 bottles, and I said, okay, I'll get the 2 bottles to take with me, and I will drink one on my 5-year wedding anniversary, and I'll drink the second one on my 10-year wedding anniversary. And so last year I celebrated my 5-year wedding anniversary. I opened this bottle of wine. We start drinking it, me and my wife, and I'm thinking, finally get to open this nice bottle of wine from the Chateau de Moray in Kaheti. We take a drink, and this stuff is super sour, kind of tastes like gassy. It's got the secondary fermentation, right? So basically, it wasn't stored. It wasn't just because it wasn't stored correctly. It's the cork, I think, right? So that's something that actually it's quite a big quite an issue with a lot of these wines that are done in Eastern Europe is the corks. If they don't use quality corks, the wine will actually go bad pretty quickly. And so this was I guess this was the issue, because I stored it in a nice and where you're supposed to store wines. And this stuff, I just remember oh, I don't remember it being this dry, because I really don't like dry wine. I don't remember being this dry. Why does it taste like it's carbonated? No, that was a great disappointment. So when you said about proper storage of wine and keeping it so that, it could be a nice bottle of wine that's 10, 20, 30 years old, that's a big deal. That's not easy. That's definitely not easy. And if part of your solution is to basically be able to, help the process, I think it's a big deal, because it is quite difficult to keep a bottle of wine for a long time. And many people don't realize how difficult it is. It really starts at bottling. In fact, it starts even before bottling, but a lot of it has to do with bottling, and a hell of a lot of it has to do with storage. And, you don't want to be the guy. I mean, I bought these things, they were a few bucks. So I was just, I don't, I mean, it's a disappointment, but it's not like, I'm not crying my eyes out. But, imagine if you buy a bottle of wine that's supposed to be, a 15, 20-year-old bottle of wine. You take it home with you, you pay, hundreds of dollars, maybe even thousands of dollars for it. And the things taste like vinegar, because it was properly kept. I mean, that would really stink. So these kind of solutions are very important, because at that point, you could actually have, an immutable ledger of information that could say what happened to this bottle of wine through its entire life cycle. So it's a huge piece of value. And
5 years later, 5 years later, you can't get a refund anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, at least when you're buying it, you don't have to trust me, bro. You can say, okay, yeah, I can check it out, and all this information is available to me. So it's very big. So listen, before we wrap up, or as we wrap up, I'd like to kind of give you the guys the floor for just to kind of letting us know what to expect from you in the coming days, months, years, centuries. What are your plans? I don't want to say the 5-year plan, but what are your plans in general with the project? Where do you see? What is what is the dream? Just kind of paint that picture for us, and and say a minute or two if you can.
And we definitely need to bring the guys back for a part 2, because I know there's so many things that they haven't covered, just because from our conversations. I know there's a lot of things they haven't covered. What I would like you guys to do is make sure you talk about the Project Catalyst stuff that you're putting in. Like, please mention as much stuff as you can. We're gonna give you the floor for as much as you need, but I would like for you to just touch on everything at least.
Yeah, I guess I'll cover the projects that we are putting for Catalyst, and then I'll let Tudor wrap up with the vision for the wine project. He's the dreamer. So besides the wine project, obviously we are going for a phase 2 of the supply chain tracking system. It will include a lot more exhaustive details associated with the wine producing process. It will include a really comprehensive reporting system, which is currently lacking, and a lot of the current wineries have been requesting this kind of functionality. So this is one. Another really interesting idea that sparked our mind. It is to explore Hydra in more details, and to actually build a Hydra-based micropayment system, basically looking to create a micropayment system with near instant settlement and close to no fees at all. Then besides that, one of our friends has reached out recently. She's looking to reimagine the baby carriers world. So actually looking to implement baby carriers with IoT devices embedded into them to capture the heartbeat, the temperature, the oxygen rate within the babies. And they were looking for an application for that. And as we were bouncing ideas around it, it sparked our mind that Midnight might be the right candidate for storing the data coming from the baby carriers. So this is another proposal we'll be putting forward. Obviously, Midnight is still in development, but it doesn't hurt to start piloting the technology and looking to integrate with that, even though it's still in development. So that's another one. We've been talking about Cardano Center, so the Eastern European Cardano Hub. That's another proposal, and then we are still discussing and bouncing ideas about one or two more real life utilities and use cases that we might push forward. Still, at the same time, we don't want to go too broad. We want to ensure that we have the energy and the focus to deliver what we are picking up as part of this fund, rather than going too broad and then under delivering. So yeah, that's I think in short an overview of the immediate projects that we'll be picking up and diving into. But yeah, behind each project, probably there is a longer journey that we are going for. So yeah. Tudor, tell us, where is the wine project going?
Well, I think we discussed pretty much about wine and its tokenization. I want to say just a couple of things. Some of it was mentioned. When are we going to get real blockchain adoption in the world? Because at the moment, whenever you speak to a person who is not your crypto bro, they would be like, blockchain, what? Like, you don't even try to mention Cardano, because it's a long time until they grasp Bitcoin and understand the trustlessness and all of this good stuff that we have. But while we work at it and while we continue grinding ahead, every, let's say, 1 year, every 5 years, a broader community starts understanding that crypto is actually blockchain. It's actually the new kind of technology where you have smart contracts instead of people paid in a bank to input the information that you just said. And the more we go forward, the easier it's going to be to showcase our project, to showcase the utility that our projects is bringing. So that's one thing. So don't, if somebody is feeling like it's hard to push, it's supposed to be. At this time, it is supposed to be. And second, every project that we are doing, so there's two different kind of places: the traders and the real world utility people. Here on the screen, I see real world utility people, and we're taking care of that part of expanding on the technology of blockchain. The trading people, if I can say so, or the degens and so on, they're working on maintaining this ecosystem alive now. So we're both very, very important. But I must admit that I'm really interested that every project that I take on is going to have clients, is going to have continuity, and is going to prepare for that time in 5 or 10 years from now, when all of this utility will be very easy to use, and it's only going to be something good, that the underlying technology is on blockchain and it's going to be very, very good. It's going to be on Cardano. Hopefully it maintains the top tier of never breaking, never stopping, and so on. So Cardano for number one.
That's right. That's right. Well, listen, guys, it has been a pleasure to have you on the mainstream. Again, I'm very, very excited to see what you guys, where the project goes, and to see you succeed. It's awesome to have, other real world RWA builders with us, let's say, and more kind of joining the ranks of just, not sit around and make more useless tokens, but we're actually going to build something with this technology. And so, yeah, like you said, it's going to take quite a bit of time for for people to realize exactly how the blockchain works. But I don't think we have to wait that long for the blockchain to actually work for them. So yeah, it's definitely exciting to see projects like yours being built. I wish you nothing but success, and absolutely would love to have you back. Love to have you back on the mainstream.
Thanks.
And I will
Thank you.
I will also send you like a public invitation right now. In like a couple of weeks, I would like for us to do a follow-up, like an X space this time, just so it will be like on a kind of like different setting, I guess. But I would like for us to circle back, because there's so much stuff that we haven't really touched on. So I think we should have a quote unquote rematch on Twitter this time. And I know the team is going to be talking to you guys, and we're definitely going to set something up. In the meantime, I just want to thank you guys for joining us, sharing all those information with us. We're definitely going to be supporting you on Project Catalyst, and making sure that we're going to be, spreading the word out, because what you're doing is very, very important, and it's definitely going to have impact into people's lives, either the people, the wine makers and all the estates in Moldova, or the people that really want to get some really good wine and have all the information around it. Because we've said it many times, a commodity is not just the physical product, but it's all the data that come with it. And especially for wine, this is like 90% of it even. So with that being said, we're going to circle back. We're definitely going to reschedule something between us, because I really want to get this conversation going a lot more. Thank you so much for joining, Tudor, Saurin, Dan. Thank you for staying up until quite late, as always, and as every Tuesday. And we're going to make sure we'll see you all again in 1 week for the next mainstream episode. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Cheers.
All right. Thanks a lot, everybody, for joining. And, well, as you all know, this is Dan, barely alive from Japan. It is past midnight, so it's way past my bedtime because I'm old. Signing off. Thanks for watching, everybody. Same channel, same place, same